welcome back again, back to our Zogger Trading Humble channel. So today what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about Lisa Truss. We're going to talk about this new UK Prime Minister and her policy, and also the reason why we're having these potential economic crisis because of her. Uh, well, she basically she's the one to be blamed because her mini budget and also of these a very aggressive uh, tax reduction and also government spending cutting program basically has put UK government fiscal situation into a rather, I would say, rather embarrassed situation. So, and also right now you have a lot of pension funds suffering because of the UK bonds, we're calling these gilt. The value of these bonds being dramatically decreased because people, investors, are selling off these UK national bonds. Apparently because they have no confidence in Lisa Truss policy. That's why we have British pound falling to the new of this historical low in 37 years. And we're also having a uh, bond market meltdown. We have a massive bond sell-off, and that's causing enough pain for pension funds. Potentially, pension funds have to suffering billions of losses because of this aggressive policy. And now we're going to explain why. First of all, we have to understand what Lisa Truss policy is, according to uh, the, the, the news and also all these references. First of all, we have to understand what's mini budget. Mini budget is one of the very important policy that Lisa Truss has proposed. So what he suggests is that we have tax cut and we have income, mainly income tax. So we have the Chancellor of Kwasi Kwarteng basically saying we have to cut in basic rate of income tax to 19% from April 2023. And government estimates 31 million people getting £170 a year more. And currently, people in England, Wales, and Northern Ireland would pay 20% on annual earning between 12,571 to 50,270 pounds, and 45% high rate of income tax abolished for England, Wales, and Northern Ireland taxpayers, especially for this term. If you have a 45% of higher rate of income tax being abolished, that means the UK government would have fall short in its budget because apparently UK government is suffering because of the short in fiscal budget. If you abolish the 45% higher rate of income tax, that means you will create a 55 billion pounds of black hole. We could say this is black hole in the UK government physical conditions. So it means that the government would have to find some, some other methods to compensate for that 45 billion pounds loss. Basically means you cannot collect this money. You have a black hole in the physical system, and you will further push the inflation back. Right now, we have the UK inflation rate is around 9.9%. If you abolish this tax policy, the inflation would probably be around more than 11%. That is astonishing. Is an astonishing inflation rate. And also, it also suggests one single higher rate of income tax of 40% would be deducted from April, start from next year. Also, national insurance That means we are reverse the recent rise in national insurance from 6 November. Workers and employers have paid an extra 1.25p in a pound since April, and you have new health and social care divide to pay for the NHS would not be reintroduced. And also you have corporation tax. So Chancellor means to cancel the UK-wide rise in corporation tax, and you will start from 19% to 25% in April 2023. And the benefits would be rules around universal credit tightened by reducing benefit if people don't fulfill job search commitments. Around 120,000 more people on universal credit to be asked to take steps to seek more work or face having their benefit reduced. Job seekers over 50 to be given extra time with work coaches to help them return to job market. So basically, they want to push back the people who back to the job market, and then they want to have a smaller government. They want to have a more efficient companies because they want to reduce the tax. They want to basically encourage rich people for not having too much tax in traditional, I would say, traditional economic fashion. That could work. That could be working if we're not suffering in an extremely high and ultra inflation environment, because you have more corporates want to stay in UK. You have more businessmen, rich people. They will attract new capital to UK, to London, obviously, and rich people will create jobs. They create jobs in the job market. But right now, because of the inflation, I seriously doubt that the employers and corporations would like to hire more laborers in the job market, right? So it's a trade-off. So you can't be saying, okay, these work in a traditional economic fashion, and now you want it to test in the real world, and now we have an ultra high inflation, and you want to kind of just copy it from the textbook. It doesn't work just like that. And also the work and investments, the chancellor wants to, the prime minister wants to have like the IR35 rules, the rules which govern off payroll working to be simplified. Annual investments allowance, the amount companies can invest tax-free, remains £1 million indefinitely. Regulations change so pension funds can increase UK investments. New and startup companies be able to raise up to 250,000 under scheme giving tax relief to investors. Share options for employees double from £30,000 into £60,000, and you have stamp duty. Of course, you're gonna have some sort of change of stamp duty, because stamp duty is basically, well, if you make money in the stock market, you make money with the capital, and if you're very rich, say you're a billionaire, by selling Apple stocks, and you need to pay for the stamp duty. And you also, if you want to purchase a house, a luxury house, let's say property, you have to pay the stamp duty. Okay, so cut the stamp duty which is paid when people buy property in England or Northern Ireland, and then no stamp duty on first £250,000, and for first time buyer that rises to £425,000, which come into operation today. 200,000 more people would be taken out of paying stamp duty altogether, government claims. So basically that means you're encouraging people to buy property in England. You're encouraging other, of course, especially for these migrations. It has good and bad. Obviously you have cons and pro, and I would say if you give people no stamp duty, that means the property price is gonna be skyrocketed. And if that's going to skyrocket, that's going to create more problem because more people obviously don't have houses because they cannot afford house because the house would be very expensive, and people would just simply keep buying more houses because there's no stamp duty. And energy, freeze on energy bills, which the government claims will reduce inflation by 5% points. Total cost for the energy package expected to be around 60 billion for the 6 months of October. Bankers bonus, rules which limits banners scrapped. This rev actually reveal the true intention of Lisa Truss, because basically the last thing you want to do is you want to deregulate the bankers, deregulate the investment banks. That means you're being nice and friendly to investment bankers. And when you're being friendly and civilized to bankers, they will screw you around. They will max out the leverage, and they will basically destroy your economic system. And guess what? Who pays for that? All the taxpayers will end up paying for the mistakes of the bankers. And also package for regulatory reform to be set out later in autumn. I think this rule alone is, very shady and deserves to be abolished. And shopping, VAT-free shopping for overseas visitors. Planned increases in the duties on beef, cider, wine, and spirits cancelled. Infrastructures and investment zones. Government discussing setting up investment zones with 38 local areas in England. Tax cuts and liberalized planning rules to be offered to release land for housing commercial use. Investment zones offer measures such as no business rates and stamp duty waived. New legislation to cut planning rules, get rid of EU regulation and environmental assessments in an effort to speed up building. Unions plan to introduce minimum service level requiring a minimum service to be provided with there are public transport strikes. New legislation which will require union to put all pay offers to a member vote before a strike can be held. Anyway, we're back to the topic. Now we are seeing there are some uh, problems with this so-called mini budget, and the biggest problem is, of course, they're trying to deduct the ceiling of these 45% of high rate, and then they're also trying to abolish all the limitation for the bankers. That is the reason why Lisa Truss is having all these negative votes. People are against her because her policy would further fuel the, I would say, the divergence between the rich and poor in the UK. It will encourage UK's property prices to go up, and it will also encourage bankers to mess around with the economic system to max the leverage out of the entire financial system. And because of that, people are voting against Lisa Truss' stupid policy. And that's why you have British pounds dropping to 37 years low, and you have people piling up, selling off gilt, which is British bonds. And that's why a lot of pension funds, mainly UK pension funds right now, suffer because pension fund holds a lot of passive investments. And one of the key investments they're holding is the gilt. They're holding a lot of UK national debt, and also they're holding a lot of bonds. So in other words, when bonds were being sell off, the value of the bonds go down, the collateral, the value of the portfolio of pension funds go down, and then that makes pension funds very difficult because you have less valuable collateral, so you have to compensate. You have to pay the difference as margin. So you're having pension funds receiving margin calls, and in order to compensate for that difference, the pension funds basically have to sell more bonds to get more cash to pay off the difference. And once you're forced to sell your position to the market because you're a pension fund, you're a very large financial institution. When you're selling, other people see you selling, so other people will start following you. Just simply strengthen that trend. So you have no liquidity in the bond market, and you have less valuable bonds, and you have very less valuable currency, and your pension funds will suffer, will have losses, billions of losses, because your portfolio isn't as valuable as before. And what happened is because these trusts bring up these kind of policy and brings, lit up these, negative thoughts of other investors, how they view the UK economic system. And that's why if you have pension funds losing billions of pounds, we're talking about serious problem, because a lot of workers, everyday workers, persons, we're talking about government officials. They are all depending on basically the pension funds to support their daily living. So if anything gone wrong with pension funds, that means UK is going to have a big problem. So thank you guys for watching this episode. If you like my content, please like and share. And also please click that bell button for me. So I will see you in next episode. Bye.